Hello students, welcome to the Recitals in Depth by Vajiram and Ravi, where we will be covering the economy and infrastructure September 2024 current affair topics in great detail. The broad themes which we are going to cover today are as follows: Indian agriculture, money and banking, public finance, investment and infrastructure, and social development. So stay tuned. Welcome back students to the second part of the recitals discussion on the economy and infrastructure topics, where we'll be trying to understand the rest of the articles such as presented here. So we'll be starting with the very first article, that is about India's grand vision to transform India into a semiconductor destination. And this is a very significant event for the country, because over a period of time it has been seen through various policies, through various debates in the policy circles, in the economic circles, that India is planning to become a part of the global value chains. And when we talk about the global value chains, we generally mean about the value chains of major electronic items, right? The heavy industrial items and so on. And within the same, we have something which is the most powerful among all of them, that is the semiconductors. And India is over a period of time trying to increase its investment in this particular domain, due to which India has planned $5 billion of investment in semiconductors. And India is not doing this alone. India is trying to rope in various private sector and also major countries such as Singapore and the United States. So we'll be discussing this in greater detail. So let's get started. Now, as of now, the semiconductor industry is valued at around $26 billion in the country. Going forward, by 2032, it is estimated that this particular $26 billion will become more than 10 times. That is more than $260 billion worth of semiconductor industries in India itself. And also this is expected to grow at more than 26% plus CAGR, or compounded annual growth rate, which actually tells about the good impression that this particular industry will be having on the Indian economy through the creation of employment, to the expansion of the industrial capabilities, and also transforming India into a very crucial player in the global value chains of the electronic items. Now here, when we talk about the global value chain, which we have discussed just right now, what am I exactly hinting at? Now, if we look at this map of the entire world, we understand that the major semiconductor companies, right, are, or say the major electronic item companies, or say the major software houses, are located in the United States, right, where most of the, say, semiconductor design or various other applications regarding the semiconductor industry are actually framed in the United States, right? And when it comes to the design, the semiconductors have to be assembled, manufactured somewhere, right? And they are generally manufactured at various countries where we see the labor is quite cheap, while at the same time we have high skilled say man force. So that is why we have this part of the world, as we can see. This is the South Asian region, along with the Southeast Asian region, and also the country of China. So that is why we understand most of the smartphone manufacturing, right, and also the silicon production, right, the back-end development of various software, electronic items, front-end, and various silicon wafers, they are produced in this particular zone, right? And also, if we look at this map, we find that this is a very densely populated region with also various, say, countries with variety of interest. Particularly, if we talk about China, right, and Chinese ambitions to capture the entire global value chain of semiconductors, it can be seen on China's actions on Taiwan, right? You know that Taiwan is actually one of the major producers of various kinds of semiconductors, and generally it is involved with the manufacturing of the semiconductors. And through various unilateral actions from China's side, China from time to time, they tries to exert some pressure on these kind of countries. Or also, if you look at the other nations such as India, such as Vietnam, and so on. So these South Asian countries, right, and Southeast Asian nations, they are also trying to aspire to say set up more and more units in this particular industry. And this is where we have to understand that the main say ambition of India is to see how this, interplay of various, competitors, right, they can play out in the near future into India's own interest. We know that, China is kind of an aggressive economic player when it comes to the Western nations, such as the Western European nations and the United States. So China is always at loggerheads with them, and most of the companies I told you, right, electronic companies, software companies, are based in the Western nations, and they view China as an existential threat going forward, due to which they also want to diversify their value chains away from China, right? This is actually one of the main reasons that India is investing so heavily in this particular industry, correct? And through this map we can understand that this is reflecting the entire value chain, correct? And also we can use these particular maps in our main answers to showcase that we have a proper understanding how this entire value chain is functioning and what are the reasons due to which India is trying to aspire for the same. Now, when it comes to India pioneering in this area of semiconductor manufacturing, designing applications, now India cannot do the entire thing alone. It has to go into various strategic partnerships with various nations. India recently, also brought in Singapore into this role. Singapore, we know, is actually land of investors, right? We have one of the major sources of FDI, foreign direct investments, coming from Singapore into India. And also, many Singapore, investors, they are interested in India as the future home of semiconductors all across the world, right? So that is why US was also interested from the very beginning. Now, why US was interested? We have to understand this through some of the important, decisions that United States have been taking for a period of time. Firstly, right, we have this aspect of CHIPS Act of 2022. Now, under this CHIPS Act, the US government formed a fund of around $500 million, right, for a period of around 5 years, which translates into $100 million per year, to boost domestic manufacturing of the semiconductors within the United States itself. That means US has came up with some legislation with millions, multi-million dollars of fund to boost its domestic production. But we have just discussed how US has actually spread its entire supply chain across various countries, prominently in the Southeast Asian regions, right? But why US is right now trying to develop this kind of silicon manufacturing factories, semiconductor manufacturing countries within the United States itself? Because the US has realized one thing, that due to various supply chain risks, due to various instances of aggression of China in the Taiwan region, it is actually jeopardizing the United States broader ambition of capturing the value chain. That is why US has came up with this CHIPS Act, due to which it is trying to boost its domestic production over a period of time. And also, the name of this particular fund is known as ITSI Fund. To give you a very brief perspective, USA in the 1990s dominated around 40% of the entire semiconductor supply chain, but over a period of time right now it is just at 12%, because most of the manufacturing they happen abroad, and that is why this fund will be helping the local domestic manufacturers to generate more and more jobs, employment, and hence have a certain amount of manufacturing at their own end. And this is what we have to understand is the most important perspective that US is thinking from. But apart from that, US is not only focusing on domestic applications, right? Because India and US has recently also signed this major breakthrough in semiconductor deal. That is, it is the first US military collaboration on high value technology with India. We have to understand one thing, that US is actually known, since times immemorial, that it has been the major supplier of various arms forces and also the technology that is, spanning from basic to advanced stages of military. And when, we have to understand when, at a time when US was dominating the entire military projects, entire military and defense arenas, funding various countries according to their own interests and so on. When right now US is collaborating with India on using India's own resources, talents to boost its own defense or military, it is something that is very significant for India and also for the rest of the world to learn from India. Why? Because India is collaborating with the US military to build sensitive equipment that US Air Force will be using in their own defense capabilities. So firstly, right, there will be a Shakti semiconductor fabrication plant at Kolkata, right, which is actually a very interesting development feat, because generally we see that most of the semiconductor plants in India are either focused on the western frontiers of the country or the southern frontiers of the nation. But the setting up of a fabrication unit, right, at Kolkata is something which is very significant for India also to create some jobs at the eastern front, right. And also we have to understand that this will be, this Shakti semiconductor fabrication plant will be used for advanced sensing, communication and power electronic items. And this is the very first partnership between the Indian businesses and the US Air Force, right, or the US Space Force. And this is also something which happened for the very first time in the Quad grouping. Now in the comment section, can you let me know who are the various other countries apart from US and India in the Quad grouping, so that we will be gaining perspective how India edged past the other two members, right? And this particular mission is also supported by something which is very important and which we will be studying today, that is the India Semiconductor Mission. Now India Semiconductor Mission is essentially that policy agenda of the government of India that is promoting the manufacturing, the idealization of semiconductors in the nation. This will be producing infrared, right, gallium nitride, silicon carbide semiconductors in the nation, which will be kind of also giving a kind of a technological transfer from the US to India. So that is why US and Indian partnership in this particular domain is essentially very interesting for the coming years. Typically after we have seen crises such as COVID-19, right? We have crises such as Russia and Ukraine, crisis. We have also the Taiwan crisis, due to which US is not at all interested in relying with the conventional supply chain. That is why India is also brought into this particular frame. And why US has chosen India for the partnerships? Because there are various favorable reasons that India is actually factored into. And that is where you have to understand that when we have this semiconductor manufacturing clusters, as I have already told you, it is kind of focused on the western sector, right? Western sector of the nation, and also in the southern sector of the nation, right? A fab is coming out at Kolkata as of now, as we speak. But as we can see here, the more number of clusters are focused in Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Telangana and Gujarat. If you apply some basic common sense, we can understand the regions are having a display of skilled labor force, right? Skilled labor force that is required for a very capital intensive activity such as the semiconductor manufacturing. Apart from this, the skilled labor is also available at a low cost, right? Not only the labor but also the various land and the various other equipments that we need for manufacturing, it is also can be procured at a lower cost, right? So this is what we have to understand. There are the major two reasons and two factors due to which India is actually focusing on in investing in this particular domain. Next, India is also trying to have supply chain efficiency, right? Supply chain efficiency, because India is trying to become a part of the global supply chain of semiconductors, and this is where we have to understand that USA is also trying to diversify the same. As we already discussed, right? US is trying to diversify from China. So that is why US is focused on India, and also India is trying to become a part of the global value chains. So this is what is serving as both of the particular countries' interest, right? Then also India is trying to transform the entire semiconductor manufacturing scenario into a very prominent amount of kind of an ecosystem for the entire world to evaluate, right? Ecosystem means where that we will be having not only say manufacturing units, but also design units in the country, fabrication units in the country, and various other various other supply chain and distribution of the entire semiconductor manufacturing process. So India is also trying to achieve the same. And apart from this, we have to also understand that the pandemic related disruptions due to shutdowns, lockdowns, right, and also rising labor cost in various other nations such as China. So that is what are actually many of the factors that are actually favoring India in this particular manner. And also, according to our Prime Minister, there are 6 reasons that he talked about why India is actually a favorable destination for the same. Firstly, he is telling that India's ambitious push for using technology to transform governance in all sectors is something that the government of India is focusing on, due to which the government is focusing on more and more e-governance, right, e-markets, right, which and also is focusing on digital India, a broader policy imperative for the country. So this will be requiring a lot of semiconductors and electronic items, right? Then India is investing in developing capabilities in the 5G, 6G, Internet of Things, clean technology, AI, data, technology. So the demand side won't never be sufficient, right? On the demand side will be, as a country with population more than 1.4 billion people, right, we will be never facing shortage of demand of electronic items. That is why semiconductor factories can come up and have a sustainable form of a business in the country. India is also headed for robust economic growth, due to which more and more factories, more and more infrastructure capabilities will be setting up, due to which we need more and more semiconductors, right? India's semiconductor consumption is expected to cross $80 billion by 2026, $110 billion by 2030. And also, right, government has undertaken wide range reforms to actually improve the ease of doing business in the country, particularly for the semiconductor industry, because we also have something which we know as the PLI scheme, right? We also have the design linked incentive for semiconductors. So this is also something which we have to understand in Indian context. And finally, India has also undertaken several measures towards transforming the Indian manufacturing sector via Make in India and various other reforms, such as bringing in insolvency bankruptcy code and various other reforms. So this is actually something which is very positive going forward. And also, when we look at this particular Indian semiconductor mission, we have to understand some important features of the same. This particular mission is very significant for India because the total overall cost for the same is around 76,000 crores, right? So this is a total outlay for this entire program, right? And what this entire program will be going into, it will be going into various things as mentioned here, right? Right here, 50% of the project cost of any new semiconductor factory, for example, if this is a factory, right, which will be set up for semiconductor manufacturing, right, 50% of this particular cost, right, will be supported, right, and this can be with reference to semiconductor and display fabrication units, and government expects that 2 of this particular, say, each units will be coming up. Then 30% of the capital expenditure, right, as maximum support to compound semiconductor units will be set up, and this is also something that the government is expecting that 15 will be set up. Next, right, the Ministry of Information and Technology, they are also exploring the possibility of joint venture between various stakeholders to promote and modernize the brownfield fabrication facility in the country, right? Brownfield fabrication country, that means these are those particular factories which are maybe under, say, progress, right, due to maybe various financial issues. These progress are at a halt, and that is why this particular fund will be helping the same. And this will be, the government also will be setting up this India Semiconductor Mission to be the nodal agency. That is, the agency will be set up under this particular mission. And 50% of the expenditure, right, as maximum design link intensive to homegrown fabulous firms. And this can be even startups, right? We will be getting 50% of the expenditure when it comes to designing of the various integrated circuits or the IC circuits in the semiconductor, and 4 to 6% of product deployment linked incentives on the net cells, almost like the model of PLI scheme, right, that will be given to this particular institutions. Apart from this, we also have various other say initiatives by the government of India. Firstly, we have the semiconductor fabrication, right, which is about offering fiscal support up to 50% of the project cost to the approved applicants, right. We also have the display fabrication initiative. We have the compound semiconductors, where 50% of the capex again will be given to various compound semiconductors, silicon, photonics, sensor and discrete semiconductor fabrication. You do not have to remember everything here. You just remember the various initiatives that the government of India is taking. And finally, we have the design linked incentive, which is trying to give the design linked benefits apart from the same that we have just discussed as of now. So these are the broad 4 things that India's semiconductor mission is trying to promote, and the various other initiatives in the same. Now, in this particular topic, we have covered a great detail. That is why I want all of you to answer this question and let me know what is the answer in the comments below. Recently, the government of India has launched this very important initiative that is known as the PM-E Drive, which is about promoting the use of electronic vehicles in the country. And this is also replacing a very prominent scheme that is by the name of FAME-2 initiative. That was a broad initiative to promote the adoption of electronic vehicles in the country. Now, this PM-E Drive is trying to achieve the double goal of reducing, pollution due to vehicular emissions, and also to promote electronic vehicles at a very faster rate in the country by giving various incentives to the consumers. And here in the same, the government is also including the component of building efficient amount of charging infrastructure in the nation. So let us look into the scheme in great detail first. Now, when we talk about this particular scheme, right, if we have this overview, the total outlay of the scheme is around 10,900 crores, right? And also this will be supporting 24 lakh plus E2-wheelers, right, 3 lakh 3-wheelers, and also 14,000 plus electronic buses. And this is trying to, replace the FAME initiative, which is promoting green mobility in the nation. Why? Because it has replaced, we have to understand, because the main reason of replacing this particular initiative of FAME with PM-E Drive is to bring in better amount of funds, better amount of focus, policy focus in this particular domain, and also to give better amount of incentives along with the previous benefits under FAME-2, right? And also subsidies worth more than 3,600 crores will be given to support the various consumers in the country to purchase electric vehicles. 100% charging infrastructure support will be given to more than 88,500 cities across the nation. And let me tell you, charging infrastructure has been one of the most important and serious issues with reference to users buying electric vehicles, right? The main hesitancy of people not buying the electronic vehicles is actually the abundance of charging infrastructure, which this scheme is trying to promote. Now let us see the detailed aspects here. Firstly, this is a scheme which has been promoted by the Ministry of Heavy Industries at the tune of almost 11,000 crores, which will be implemented over 2 years. The very first incentive that is given is known as a demand incentive, right, where the demand incentive will be given for electric 2-wheelers, 3-wheelers, e-ambulances, e-trucks and other emerging electric vehicles. Under this particular scheme, e-bus procurement will be done by the government, right? And this will be procured by the state transport departments and the public transport agencies. E-ambulance and e-truck promotion also has been factored into, and the most important aspect here is the functioning of the e-voucher system here. Now, to understand the e-voucher system, suppose that you have decided to purchase an EV, right? You have decided to purchase an EV that is costing, say for example, around 1 lakh rupees, right? For simplification purpose. So the cost of the EV is 1 lakh, and the government of India, through these subsidies, right, it is trying to promote the higher sales of electric vehicles so that people can use more and more electric vehicles and pollute less, right? So government has told that, okay, if you buy any EV, I will be giving you flat 10% discount. That is, the people will be having, for example, if you decide to buy this EV, you will be required to only pay how much? 90,000 rupees, right? Only 90,000 rupees. So this 10,000 rupees or say 10% would be a kind of a discount for you. But how this voucher will be generated for you. For example, if you are interested, you will be going to an digital portal, right, to an online portal, the PM-E-Drive portal, where you will be registering your interest, right. Apart from after this, government of India will be taking your Aadhaar details, right, Aadhaar details, and along with this Aadhaar details, a particular coupon code will be generated, right. A coupon code will be generated that you have to give to the OEM, right, original equipment manufacturer, or say the manufacturer of the EVs, right. Now that particular manufacturer will be looking at the coupon code and will be saying that, okay, if the price is 1 lakh rupees, I have to give you a discount of 10%, right. And when the OEM will be selling you the EV for 90k or 90,000, right, it is, you can understand, maybe a loss for the OEM, right. But no, the money will be coming from the government of India directly to the OEM. So they also can have a hassle-free process of giving this, or say of enrolling the people in this e-voucher system. So this is the entire process how this is working, and this is something which is a seamless process that is possible over this PM-E-Drive digital portal. Now apart from this, the government is also focusing on increasing the amount of or extent of charging infrastructure, that is by enlisting public charging stations and also testing infrastructure with reference to various charging infrastructure, because we understand for EV charging we need various amounts of batteries, right, and mostly these batteries must be easily swappable, right. That means, for example, if you are driving along a highway and you spot a charging station and your battery of your car is at 10%, so you can easily replace that battery with a new battery at the charging station, right. That is the amount of, say, infrastructure that we need to develop, that is not yet fully available in our country right now. That is actually one of the major impediments due to which people are not buying the electric vehicles. So if we can solve this issue, maybe we can be a bit further ahead in promotion of the electric vehicles. So this is actually one of the major reasons why India is supporting this program, and this is very significant for the country. Firstly, it will be reducing the overall, gradually, the vehicle emissions in the country, because not only we are promoting two-wheelers, three-wheelers, but we are also promoting electronic trucks, electronic ambulance, which also causes a lot of harm to the environment over a period of time. That is what the adoption of the same will be having a holistic positive development for the country as a whole. So, according to this, we have another question for all of you. Please do let me know what is the answer of the same in the comments below. In the next article, we will be looking into the recent announcement by the Union Cabinet to approve the 4th phase of the Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, which is actually one of the most successful government initiatives, in the history of India's government initiatives, because the better implementation of this Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana is seen in the rural areas, where you can see the construction of this motorable road can connect many of the unconnected habitations or various areas in the country which are not having a pakka road, right. So this is where this particular initiative is trying to bridge the gaps of infrastructure in very remote areas of our country. So recently the cabinet has approved the implementation of this 4th phase. So as of now we had 1, 2, 3 phases, and the 4th phase will be coming up with around 62,000 kilometers of all weather roads in the country, right. And also we can understand the 4th phase will be having the time duration from around financial year 2024-25 to 2028-29, and also this total outlay will be at the tune of around 70,000 crores, and also the center will be contributing a part that is around, say, 60% in, say, most of the Indian states, and 90%, at tune of 90% in the northeast region states, and the rest of the amount has to be contributed by the respective state government. So this is essentially something which we know as a centrally sponsored scheme, where the state governments have to contribute their small part and rest of the part will be contributed by the central government, right. And here we have to understand that the main target of this particular project is connecting around 25,000 connected habitations in the country. When we talk about the term unconnected habitations. This generally mean those areas which are very remote in the country. As we can see here, this is a part of our country, maybe a part of a hamlet, a tribal area, which is not having a proper connectivity. It is dissected by various, say, mountains and so on. So this is why having a proper road is very essential for any community that is living here. If you can see here, these are small huts that are located here, and the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana has constructed a road for the benefit of this particular people, and that is why unconnected areas are having kind of classifications in 3 types. Firstly, in usual areas, these areas are actually habited by around 500 plus people, right? So around 500 plus people must be, living there for actually, say, to be constructed at plain areas, right? Next, 250 plus in hilly areas, right? Northeast region, tribal areas, right? Desert areas, right? And various similar areas where this kind of population is available. And finally, this scheme is also having a very special component of having the left wing extremism affected areas, where in left wing affected areas around 100 population is required for the construction of this particular road, right? So this is actually the most important facts that we need to know about this particular scheme. And also, whatever projects will be completed via this will be also integrated with the Gati Shakti portal, right? Which is a portal which is trying to unify the various departments of the government of India and also the various other state governments under a single portal, right? Where each and every, say, road which has been completed, a particular report has to be filed for the same at the Gati Shakti portal, right? So this is a very, very important portion of this particular scheme. Next, we have this question again for all of you. Please do let me know what is the answer of the same in the comments below. Now in this next article, we will be looking into how recently the Quality Council of India has recently approved the National Test House to certify the various drones in the nation. You know that over a period of time, the popularity of drones have increased, and this is what the government of the day is also trying to promote safe use of the drones. And that is why in 2021, the government also came up with draft drone guidelines, which is trying to promote a fair use of drones, keeping in national security in mind and also the commercial interests in mind, due to which we use drones in day-to-day life purposes, right? We use drones for various reasons such as government work, for entertainment purposes, right? For scientific experiments, for agricultural purposes and so on. So that is why over a period of time, we need better testing infrastructure for the drones. That is exactly what the Quality Council of India and then has actually entrusted the National Test House to the same. And here the National Test House is actually under the Ministry of Consumer Affairs and Food and Public Distribution, and this is what we have to understand is the main structure of the National Test House, which was established way back in 1912. And here this test house is located at Kolkata, right? And this is trying to have proper amount of infrastructure for various testing of various electronic items, and this is also about various standards that the testings has to be following, and also about the very quality inspections that the various items has to adhere to, right? So these are the main functions of the National Test House, and this is also functioning under Quality Council of India. Now, QCI was established in 1997, right, jointly by the Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, that is DPIIT, under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, right, and also the private sector, the private industry. It was established under Societies Registration Act to provide accreditation services in various sectors product, services and processes. That is, it is trying to have a proper amount of standardization as to how a particular say product must be having a particular quality, having particular standards, and how those quality standards can be enforced in the nation, right? Next, we have this certification by the National Accreditation Board for certification bodies, and we have this national test house under the same, correct? And this body provides accreditation to the certification, inspection and validation or verification bodies. It also provides accreditation to the testing, calibration and the medical laboratories, right? And here both NABL and NABCB, right, are signatories to the multilateral recognition arrangement of the international bodies, and also the International Accreditation Forum and the International Laboratory Accreditation Corporation. Now these are all facts. These are very important for your prelims, and also we do not need to understand too much into the same. We just have to understand, okay, this is the classification of the various bodies and how this QCI and their own subsidiary bodies are functioning, right? The government, regulators, industry and the conformity assessment bodies, right, increasingly rely on these two institutions for a proper amount of standardization in the country, right? Now, according to this, please let me know what is the answer to the same, right? This particular question in the comments below. In the next article, the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Maandhan Yojana has completed around 5 years, and this is a very important pension scheme for the agricultural workers in our country. And when we talk about this particular scheme, this is trying to provide a monthly pension of 3,000 rupees. 3,000 rupees to various eligible farmers. The eligible farmers, the main eligibility criteria are those farmers who have land less than 2 hectares. Essentially, these are small and marginal farmers, right? So for them, we need a better amount of income security. For them, we need better amount of financial inclusion. Due to which this particular pension fund that will be giving them monthly income of around, say, 3,000 rupees per month after they reach the age of 60 years. And any farmers between the age of 18 years to 40 years, they can become a part of this particular pension scheme from 55 rupees to around 200 rupees per month, right? So with this monthly contribution from the age of around 18 to 40 years till the age of 60 years, right? The farmers, after they reach the age of 60 years, they will be getting 3,000 rupees per month. And also the various contributions that the farmers are making, right? This entire money will be managed by the LIC, Life Insurance Corporation, right? And they will be trying to invest this money into various, equities, Indian stock markets, government bonds and various other returns from which they will be earning some money. And from that money, they will be giving the pension to the farmers. And here, this particular aspect is very important for us to understand that in the event of death, right? In the event of death before 60 years, right, of this particular particular maybe farmer, right? The spouse of that farmer can continue the pension contributions from monthly basis, right? And after the age of 60 of the particular deceased individual, right? And after a particular age stipulated in the policy, right, the spouse can earn 3,000 rupees per month as a pension amount, right? But in the event, right, in which the death is after 60 years of that particular farmer, the spouse will be receiving around 50% of the pension contribution. So these are the various important details that you need to know of this particular scheme in respect of your prelims examination. And also when it comes to the implementation of this particular scheme, there are many state governments such as Bihar, Jharkhand, Uttar Pradesh and Chhattisgarh which are implementing this scheme at a very rapid pace. And as of we can understand, there are around 23.38 lakh farmers which have been registered for this particular pension scheme, giving them a proper amount of income security after a particular age. So this is a very important scheme that we need to keep in mind for a prelims examination. And also there is this question for all of you. Please do let me know what the answer of the same in the comments below. Recently, the DPIIT under the Ministry of Commerce has launched the BHASKAR platform, which is a very important platform for boosting the presence of Indian startups and also to have all of the Indian startups, the government agencies, the very entrepreneurs, the various private sectors on a particular platform to get better amount of guidelines for and also guidance for the various startups in the country. And here we have to understand that in India, right, we have around say 1.5 lakh startups which are recognized by the DPIIT, and we know that if a particular startup has been recognized by the DPIIT, that particular startup can get many tax exemptions over a period of time that will be helping the startup to grow their business, have good amount of profitability in the beginning 10 years, right? And also the main purpose of this BHASKAR platform is to enable stakeholders to access various DPIIT schemes for startups, right? And it is expected to create more than 1.5 million jobs, right, by the DPIIT recognized startups as of now, and maybe this figure can grow up even after this particular portal. The main aspect of this portal is to promote something, which is a term which is very famous in the startup circles, which is known as networking. Right? Networking refers to the ability of the various entrepreneurs to connect with other entrepreneurs, other industry experts, to gain various knowledge on the various startups, investors, mentors, right, other stakeholders, to have some interactions with the seniors who have already been at this startup scenario. Then also, this is also trying to have a centralized, right, a central repository of DPIIT schemes. So any startups which can register on this portal, they can easily have the access to various schemes and they can easily apply to the same. Also, various startups can have personalized interactions with reference, because every registered startups will be having something which we know as a BHASKAR ID, right? So a personalized kind of an interaction that can be possible under this particular facility, right? Then also the various startups which are showing great potential, right, they can be easily be discovered, right, because there are various entrepreneurs and startups which are registered here, and if a particular startup is having a good track record of profitability and various other parameters, right, they can be easily be discovered and various investors can invest in the same. And finally, they will be having a greater brand value if they're getting benefits out of this particular, say, platform. So these are all the various benefits that we need to know, and according to the same, please do let me know what is the answer of this question in the comments below. Recently, there has been a very interesting initiative, that is the CREATE setup, right? That is inauguration of the Center for Rural Enterprise Acceleration Through Technology in Leh. And we have to understand, in the area of Ladakh, we have various products such as Pashmina wool, right? We have various other products that are indigenous to the local area of Ladakh and also in at various other areas. So this is actually one of the most important schemes for promoting the growth of MSMEs which are in the, say, industry of, say, traditional handicrafts, right? And this will be also trying to boost the local employment. This particular initiative will be also be creating more better amount of jobs and will be creating enterprise, right, by promoting higher amounts of, entrepreneurship in the region. So these were the major details that we needed to know for this particular scheme. So let's now move on to the next article. Recently, the Open Network for Digital Commerce has launched a very important application which is known as the Saarthi application, the Saarthi app, as we can see here. Now, if you look at this app very closely, you see that this app is selling something which we know as fashion, grocery, electronics, food and beverage, agricultural items, right? Some stores which are near me. So this is a very, kind of a app which is having all of the functions at one place. Now, we all have heard about the term ONDC, right? If not, I'm trying to explain you what it is all about. See, when we go to traditional websites such as Flipkart and Amazon, right? For example, this is, Amazon, right? And this is Flipkart. Both of them have the same business model. That is, where they have an online platform and online website on which we as buyers, we go to this particular websites using particular apps, right? Or various websites, correct? Now, what these platforms do, these platforms have various sellers from all across the world, all across the country. They register on their Flipkart, on their Amazon marketplace applications on their website, and they list their products. For what? Because you have to understand, if they list their products, they have an access to wide range of customers all across India and all across the world. So these sellers can have an access to the various customers there. And in return, Amazon and Flipkart, they will be levying some small amount of service fee through which they are operating their business model, right? So these are the sellers and there are the buyers, and in between, these are the two private companies who are controlling each and everything. They are controlling how the sellers are registering, how the buyers are making payments, how these particular buyers are scrolling through particular items and giving advertisements related to the same. So each and every item is controlled by the private enterprises here, Amazon, Flipkart, in these closed market-centric e-marketplaces. Why? Because you have to understand this particular, this websites, Amazon, Flipkart are private enterprises. They are mainly working to maximize their own profits, right? It can be one thing that there are various sellers such as kirana shop owners who also have this particular item that this buyer wants to buy, right? But they will not be able to list at Amazon or Flipkart. Why? Because of the heavy charges that they have to give to the particular companies here. So due to expensive, say, maintenance costs, right, many of the small sellers, they cannot become a part of this particular closed platform marketplaces. But this is completely changed if we look at the ONDC, which is the open network centric marketplace, right? Now here, imagine very simple things, that we have various buyers, right, who wants to buy various other commodities, right? And there are various sellers here, right? In open network, what happens is that there are various, say, layers of applications in between. For example, say payment applications, right? For example, say app development, right? App maintenance, app service. There are various other protocols such as safety protocols and so on. So each of these particular things are operated by, say, various other applications. For example, say payment can be operated by Paytm on the same portal, right? Say the delivery aspect of the same can be operated by Ola, right? So there can be various other, say, processes in which various other companies have taken this particular duty of. But in this particular thing, everything is managed by, say, Amazon and Flipkart themselves itself. Even Flipkart have their own delivery services, right? But in this particular case, right, the entire scenario is decentralized, correct? But what is bringing everyone together is actually the buyers and the sellers. The sellers can be everyone. It can be from kirana shop owners to the mall or the big brands, right? So everyone can list as sellers at extremely negligible prices, right? Even the sellers can have their own applications. Even various sellers can have their own different applications that connect to the same open network, right? So this is actually a much more democratized way of digital commerce, which this open network digital commerce is trying to promote. And when we talk about this particular Saarthi application, this Saarthi application is nothing but actually one example of the buyer application, right? Now imagine this example, that you want to buy some fruits, right? You want to buy some fruits. You think that, okay, Flipkart and Amazon is too costly, so let me go to ONDC. Now when you go to ONDC, there are many examples of say many cases or use cases of ONDC. From you can use Paytm to open ONDC, you can use Ola to open ONDC, right? For example, you open Paytm, right? And on Paytm you see this similar page, correct? this similar page as shown here, that you can buy grocery, fashion, say electronic items and everything. And this is a sample page where you have this entire items which a buyer can choose and buy. Correct? And this particular same application can be actually be developed or say made by a seller who wants to sell their own products on the ONDC, right? While the application is for us, we have to choose and buy from here. This is for us, but this has been made by the seller. This is exactly what the Saarthi app. This is actually one kind of a model, right? A model or a sample buyer app where the sellers can look at it, they can get inspired by it, and they can create their own versions of the Saarthi applications, right? And the main feature of the Saarthi application is its multilingual support, right? The main feature is the multilingual support, because it is integrated with something which we know as the Bhasini. Bhasini is an AI program, is an AI language translation tool that can have a live translation of the Indian language. By far, it is actually the most, the best kind of an application for Indian, say, languages. It seeks to enable all Indians access to internet and digital services in the native languages, so that most of the untapped regions across the entire country, they can get the better use of artificial intelligence, right? And also, it is trying to have an initiative of Bhasha Dan initiative that is focusing on gathering language inputs across multiple Indian languages that are yet not part of this particular, say, a facility, correct? And here, up to 22 languages are supported as of now in this particular Saarthi, and it is expected that most of the sellers, right, they can adopt this particular e-commerce facility, and they can list their products, they can integrate Bhasini and provide the various products in Indian regional languages that can reach more people in the near future. So please do let me know, according to our discussion so far, what is the answer of this in the comments below. Recently, the Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying has launched a very interesting app which is known as the RangeenMachhli application. Now this application looks like this. Firstly, you have this page RangeenMachhli, right, where you can sign in as a new user, or if you are an existing user, you can log into the same. But the most important and interesting feature is when you log into the applications. First you select the languages and so on. Then you find aquarium shops, because many of our viewers here, you please let me know in the comments below, who loves to breed fish in aquariums, right? So all the fish lovers out there, if you are enthusiastic about ornamental fish, you can find your favorite fish, right, at your near aquarium shops, and this will be helping you to find various varieties of fish, right? And also you can view how far the fish shop is located from you, so that you can go and you can buy your fish for your aquarium. And this is actually a very, very interesting app, right, to promote the use of ornamental fisheries in the nation. And this is also something which will be giving better amount of livelihood support to the fish breeders, right, because they can easily enlist them. For example, if you see Unique Melbourne shop, right, Ocean Palace Aquariums at Odisha, right, there can be many other places across many other countries, right, who actually see a lot of demand for aquariums, right? So this will be actually be very, very useful for the people who are employed in this sector to get better amount of incomes, right? So these are the kind of innovations that we need to come up with, right? So this will be supporting not only say business of aquariums, but also the overall fisheries sector as a whole, correct? So this particular app is also available in many Indian languages, around 8 Indian languages, and here this is one of the most important, crucial wing of the Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, right? This is actually an umbrella scheme to promote the fisheries sector in the nation by promoting aquaculture, by promoting better amount of fisheries, and also investing in technology in the aquaculture scenario of the nation. So this is all that you need to know about this, and according to this, please do let me know what is the answer of the same, this question, in the comments below. Now in this next article, we will be understanding what are Nidhi companies, because recently the registrar of companies, according to the Ministry of Commerce, they have shut down around dozen of Nidhi companies. Now Nidhi companies are very interesting because they are composed of minimum of 7 members, and the minimum of seven members, they can constitute something which we know as Nidhi companies. Now what are these companies are functioning for? So these are, you know, member focused, member centric associations. Why? Because there must be minimum 7 members to have something which we know as a habit, to actually develop habit of savings. So these companies, they form a pool of funds from their members itself, right, from their members itself, and using this, these people give out loan, right, these Nidhi companies give out loan and various other financial services, right, financial services to various other individuals, and most often these loans are actually given to the other members, right, of this particular company. So these are the Nidhi companies which try to build up a habit of savings from the members. So all of the funds are generated by the members itself, and the same funds are given as loans at very concessional rates of interest, right, to the other members. So this is the main spirit of the Nidhi companies. They are regulated by the Ministry of Commerce. That is why recently there have been many Nidhi companies which were involved in fraudulent transactions and various other frauds, due to which the Ministry of Commerce has to shut them down. So this is the main thing which they were actually in the news. And let me tell you, these are also something which are a type of NBFC or non-banking financial companies. And there are some activities that the Nidhi companies cannot operate. For example, they cannot deal with cheat funds, hire purchase finance, leasing finance, insurance, or securities business. The reason is obvious, because these particular businesses are very risky, right? These are very risky, and if you understand, the people who constitute the Nidhi companies, right, pool of funds, they save from their own income and they invest the funds in the Nidhi companies, right? So these people's funds will be at risk if the Nidhi company invests in such business operations. They are also prohibited from accepting deposits, right, or lending funds to any person except their own members, correct? And also it can't advertise itself to ask for any deposits because it's a member centric, community, right? They are also not allowed to issue preference shares, debentures, or any other debt instruments in any other form. You know that preference shares, debentures, these are some of the debt instruments by which companies used to raise more money for their company, right? For example, there is a Nidhi company and it is aiming to maybe open more branches. So what they can do, they can issue this kind of preference shares, debentures, and raise for money from the market, right? But that is not allowed because they should not be doing this kind of, say, debt from the market side, because most of the money were contributed by the members themselves. If you want to expand, then the members have to contribute and expand to the same. They are also not allowed to open any current account with their members, right? Then within 1 year of registration, conditions to be fulfilled for getting Nidhi status is that they should have minimum of 200 members. The net owned funds should be around 10 lakh rupees or more. Just remember these broad figures. Net owned funds is actually the equity share capital plus free reserves minus accumulated losses minus intangible assets. So these are all the things that you just have to remember at a glance. Also, term deposits must be 10% or higher of the outstanding deposits. The net ratio that the funds to deposits ratio should not be more than 1:20. So these are some things that you have to keep in mind, the very basic things, and for which we have this MCQ for all of you. Please do let me know what is the answer of the same in the comments below. Now in this next article, we'll be learning about this credit guarantee fund trust for micro and small enterprises, because as of now, this has approved around 1 lakh crore guarantees of, within around 172 days, as of September 2024. And when we talk about guarantees, right, what do you mean by the same? Maybe for example, say this particular individual is aspiring to set up a small factory to make steel almirahs, right? Steel almirahs. For this particular person maybe needs around 50 lakh rupees loan from the bank, correct? And this loan is generally given to these people, by the various commercial banks and so on. But for them, for giving these loans, the banks will be taking something which we know as a security, a guarantee, right? But here, under this particular scheme, the main program of the government is to give collateral free, security or guarantee free kind of loans to the people. The main ambition is the same, right? So this is exactly why the name of the scheme is also like that, credit guarantee fund, right? That is, you will be getting credit, right? Even without, if you do not have any, say, guarantee for this particular loan, you can have the same, right, at very concessional rates of interest even. Now, the major details are given here for this particular scheme, right? For various micro enterprises, correct, the maximum statement, extent up to which your collateral or your security or guarantee will be covered, up to 5 lakh loans is around 85%, right? Above 5 lakh to 50 at around 75, above 50 lakhs to around 5 crore rupees, right? Recently this limit has been raised from 2 crore to 5 crore, right? So the amount of security or collateral that you can have is around at 75%. For women entrepreneurs, SC, STs or various people with disabilities or MSCs promoted by Agniveeds, aspirational districts, right, or ZDD certified MSCs, which are actually the MSMEs which are very much environmental friendly, right? So ZDD certification is given to those MSMEs who invest in green technologies and are less polluting than others, right? So for them it is 85%, so a better amount of guarantee, right? And also for other category of borrowers it is at around 75%. So what this means, that for example, if you take a loan of 50 lakh rupees, right? So maybe you have to give a guarantee of only around, say, 15%. If you are a micro enterprise and are taking around 5 lakh rupees loans, right? So you have to give only 15% of guarantee or whatever the guarantee the bank is asking for at the tune of 15% only. The rest of the 85% or 75, 80, whatever it is, right? All of them will be given by the government of India. So the guarantee will be coming from the government of India, right? So the bank will be giving the loan on their side and the bank will be taking a part of guarantee from you and the rest of the guarantee from the government of India. So in instance that you fail to repay the loan, right, your 15% of the government of India will be paying back the guarantee in this particular manner. And according to the discussion, please do let me know what is the answer of this particular MCQ in the comments below. Now this particular article is very interesting and also very important for your economy topics. Recently the US Fed has cut its interest rate and will be seeking and will be looking into what are the broader implications of this particular rate cut all across the world, including India. Now to understand first why there has been a rate cut and why this is in the news right now, why you have to read this in your recitals, why it is very prominent, we have to first look into the chronology. We'll be starting with COVID-19, right? When the COVID-19 resulted in major amount of lockdowns, right? When we understand lockdowns, correct? When we understand the issue of lockdowns, we understand that the government has to do something to stimulate the economy. Maybe because lockdowns, people do not have jobs, people do not have employment. So people need more money, right? People need more money. This is exactly what governments all across the world they did. They tried to say liberalize the money supply in the economy. But this created something which we know as inflation, right? Whenever we will be seeing greater amount of money supply in the economy, we will be witnessing inflation. This is exactly something which occurred in the rest of the world and also in the US in 2022-23 era. And also during the same time, we also have had issues like Russia-Ukraine country, crisis, right? Which is a kind of a geopolitical event that also impacted the inflation scenario, particularly the crude oil, due to which inflation tended to rise even more. And the main, the job of the Fed or say any central bank, the main job of any central bank are twofold. Firstly, to keep inflation stable, such as, and being, keeping inflation stable is actually maintaining the growth, right, or GDP prospects stable, because too much of inflation erodes the GDP, correct? And also keeping employment conditions in mind, or instance keeping unemployment very low, correct? So these are the twin objectives, and this is something that the central bank can indirectly do via interest rates and so on, and this is something that the central bank can directly do via interest rate tools. And this is exactly what happened, in 2020-23, when the US Fed rate was high as 5.5%. That is, in essence, the United States or say Fed increase their interest rates. And you know that whenever the interest rates are increased, right, there were obvious reasons. Money supply was too high. Due to Russia-Ukraine crisis, there was inflation in the entire global, crude oil and energy sector and so on, due to which interest rates has to be, and also there were very other factors due to which interest rate had to be increased. And also, right, gradually in 2023-24, there were also various risks of US slipping into recession. Why? Because your own high interest rate, did not attract any investment, correct? Because, higher interest rate means businesses will not be taking any loans. The loans will be going down. If businesses do not take more loans, they won't be expanding their businesses. They won't be hiring no new workers. They won't be taking up new branches and expanding. And this will not be creating new jobs. New employment will not be created, right? And this will be not leading into the growth of the GDP. So the growth of the GDP will be coming down, right? So not the GDP will be coming down, but the GDP growth rate will be coming down, correct? And this is actually one of the things, or say to lesser degree, that happened in rest of the world and also in the US. It kind of slipped into the recessions. There are economists who tell that no, USA did not slip into recessions. Others, they say yes, there were prominent recessions. But we have to, for the sake of our discussion here, discuss that why the particular state of US's economy was showing some signs of recession. That was actually the main decision of US to raise interest rate as high as 5.5%. And that is why right now the US is actually trying to decrease their interest rates by around 50 basis points in this particular year. By the end of the year, there will maybe another rate cut, or say in the next year there will be maybe 100 basis points cut, that is around 1%, and maybe the next year there will be another rate cut. That is, the US is doing something which we know as a soft landing. Correct? Now understand this. US was fearing recession. Majority of the factories being shut down, unemployment crisis to rise and so on. That is why they are trying to decrease the interest rates as of now. Why? Because if you try to understand this, that the economy is not functioning well. Not much demand, not much various other sectors are growing, right? That is why the interest rates came down, so maybe more loans can be generated, more employment may be created, the US GDP growth rate can improve. So this is the main target. But should the US decrease the interest rates by, for example, say if it is at 5.5%, should the USA now tell, or say the Fed tell, that interest rate is 1% right now. Otherwise, there will be again too much of money supply, too much of money demand. Everyone will be telling, give me money, I want to buy an iPhone, I want to set up a restaurant cafe, I want to set up a semiconductor factory. Well, everything is good. But the overall supply of goods and services are limited, due to which we cannot drastically decrease the interest rate. We have to gradually, for example, USA did 50 basis points right now, right? USA will be doing maybe 1% next year, another percent next year. Gradually, USA will be, or say the Fed will be decreasing the interest rates. So this is exactly what we know as soft landing. If we drastically decrease the interest rates, then what will happen? Then the landing won't be soft. Then again we'll be seeing inflation, again this recession and so on. That is why right now the US is thinking on this particular lines. Right now we have to see what is the implication of the same on India. See, the US interest rates have came down. For example, say earlier, right, both of the say countries were having around 5% interest rates, right? For India's interest rate, it was at around 5%. But after, right, after the US decision, right, US decided to decrease it at, for example, say at 4% as of now, correct? And India is still at 5%. So what do you think the investors all around the world they will be doing? They are very clever, right? Earlier it was 5%. So investors were present in both US and India. Now the investors, they will be seeing what? They will be borrowing money. They will be borrowing from US, right? And using this borrowed amount, they will be investing in India, right? So they will be doing what? They will be using this interest rate differential between the two countries to have an investing opportunity in India. Because interest rate in US is low, so I can easily take $100 loan, right, and pay a lesser interest rate in the US, and I can use this $100 to invest in India. So this is something, from an investment point of view, more investments in India will be coming. So investments will be improving in India over a period of time due to this Fed cut, right? And investments will be going outside of US, right? So while that is a concern for them, that is a opportunity for us, correct? So this was the first effect. And also when we understand investments will be increasing, right? When investments will be increasing in India, what will be the other effect? The other effect will be, when investments will be increasing, this will be leading to better or higher amount of demand of Indian rupee, correct? This will be translating into higher demand of Indian rupee because people are investing more in India, right? They are bringing their dollars, right, in India, and they're demanding Indian rupee. So what happens? The supply of dollars, they increase in India, and the demand for Indian rupee increases, and this is something which is associated with appreciation of Indian rupee. And if there is too much of supply of dollars, this is something which is depreciation of dollars, correct? And if this is the place, if this is the case as of now going forward, right, appreciation leads to a stronger INR, right? And this will be having impacts on the exports and imports of our country. Due to a stronger INR, right, or relatively weaker dollar, our imports will be higher because imports are less cheap because rupee is right now, appreciated and dollar has become cheap for us, and exports will be becoming expensive. So if exports are becoming expensive, we mean that right now, the other foreigners, the other countries, they will be seeing that the Indian rupee is actually quite relatively costly to buy goods and services with. So this is exactly why the exporters will be losing out. And if you look at the overall impact of this on the global, on the GDP of India, right? If you look at the GDP of India, it can have a negative impact, right? While we understand that this is the overall GDP formula, C plus I plus G plus X minus M, right? That means consumption plus investment plus government expenditure plus exports minus imports, correct? So this means that while due to higher investments in the country, correct, will be translating into typically maybe higher investments here, but also we'll be losing out in exports too, right? This entire balance will be kind of negative because we say our imports can rise, our exports can reduce. So this particular thing, that is the external sector can be vulnerable due to this particular action of the Fed. So these are all the effects that India will be seeing, and please do let me know. This was a very beautiful topic which was quite challenging conceptually. So please do let me know what is the answer of this MCQ in the comments below with proper reasoning of your own. Recently the Ministry of Textiles unveiled a commemorative coin for the Central Silk Board. Now the Central Silk Board is actually a statutory body, right? It is a statutory body under the Ministry of Textiles, right? So it is a very, very important body that is trying to promote Indian silk in domestic areas and also abroad. So in India, India is actually one of the only countries in the entire world to have 4 varieties of silk: the mulberry, eri, tashar and muga. Well, we see the majority of Indian silk that is available, right, and in Indian supply chain is actually of the mulberry variant, followed by eri, tashar and muga. So this is actually the ascending order of silk in this particular direction, correct? And also we have to understand that this particular body is mainly steered to promote a better amount of research and development in sericulture in India. What do you mean by sericulture? It is actually the entire supply chain or production chain of silk in the country, right? This is an ancient practice that India has adopted from the generations to generations from the past, right? So this is actually one of the major body that is created to involve better amount of research and development, promotion of silk, right? And also having a better amount of export of silk in the external markets. So these were all the important information that you need to know, and please do let me know what is the answer of the same in the comments below. In the next article, we'll be looking at the Vivad se Vishwas 2.0 scheme, which is a recent initiative of Central Board of Direct Taxes to resolve the pending tax disputes in the country. And this is the renewed edition of Vivad se Vishwas 2.0 that will be starting from October 1st, 2024. Now, under this particular scheme, the main tasks of the government is to improve the tax collection of the government of India, because we know, right, for better performance of our economy, right, if you even remember that GDP formula, right, don't we have the G component here, that is C plus I plus G plus X minus M. So the higher amount of government expenditure it would be, the higher amount of GDP of a country would be, and it is better for the country overall. So that is why there must be better amount of tax compliance in the country, right? And often it has been seen that many people in the nation, they have been evading paying taxes, right? And this will be having, right, and detrimental effect on the overall on the overall fiscal implication for the country, correct? The government would not be having higher amount of tax revenues to spend money on various goods and services, government services and so on. So that is why we must be trying to catch those people, right, who are trying to evade taxes and have proper amount of extraction of tax money from them, right? And we have to understand that while the government is aspiring to do this, it should not be having a very hard approach in this particular manner, right? Because we can approach the evading taxpayers, maybe sometimes they are not aware of paying taxes. Sometimes we can have a first chance, second chance, third chance for the taxpayers to pay their taxes on time, right? We can actually have or give them some opportunity to pay the taxes in time. So that is why this Vivad se Vishwas is actually a very kind of a persuasive kind of a government initiative to have better amount of tax tax resolution from the earning taxpayers. And the phase 1 of this particular scheme was quite successful. That resulted in around, say, mopping up around 96,000 crores of rupees from the taxpayers. So that means this amount of tax money were recovered, and that is why this 2.0 scheme has been launched to improve the scheme. And here the government of India will be the CBDT will be keeping in touch with the various people who have had disputes with the CBDT at various Supreme Court level, High Court level, appellate tax tribunals, or say various other special leave petitions which are pending at various before the Supreme Court at around July 2024, right? So with reference to various disputes, this particular 2.0 scheme will be coming into the picture, and also it will be also including the cases which have been pending before the dispute resolution panel, right? And also the revision petitions which are pending before the Commissioner of the Income Taxes. But there are some grounds which are exempted, right? For example, various provisions where various people who have been charged under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Now, can you mention in the comment section what was the year in which this particular legislation was enacted, right? And people who are actually convicted under the PMLA Act or having some undisclosed foreign income, right? Or having some this kind of proceeds, illegal proceeds from money laundering, or the Benami Property Transaction Act, or simply the Benami Act. So these people are excluded because there are separate investigative agencies and various other government agencies to prosecute them, right? So this is why this particular topic is very important for us, because the government of India over a period of time they need to increase their tax to GDP ratio. So this was the entire topic. Please do let me know what is the answer of this particular question in the comments below. Now recently the FSSAI has launched the FIRA portal, right? Or the Food Import Rejection Alert portal. What this portal is all about will be understanding simply with this portal itself. Now look at this portal. I was just going through this portal. I came across various tables, and one of the tables I'm showing with you, all of you. See, there are various columns in this particular table. So firstly we have this product. What is the kind of product? Maybe spices, health supplements and so on. Then we have fruits and vegetables, correct? Proprietary food. So these are the things. Then we have the product name. What is the main thing all about? Maybe it is a cinnamon flower, a tea bag, right? It is fresh apple, red delicious, areca nut, Sri Lankan areca nut, right? Then we also have sushi, right, from China. Then we have this country of origin and exporting countries, correct? We have this country of origin, that is from where these particular products are coming from. And also we are seeing something which we know, which we see as here, why this particular product was not allowed into India. That is the reason for rejection. For example, if you look at this particular health supplement, that is a tea bag that is coming from Japan, which is kind of a very trusted country, right? So why this particular product was not allowed? Because prior product approval is required as the particular company is not listed as a permitted plant or botanical ingredient under the FSS Act or Food Safety Security Act 2006 and the regulations made there under, right? And what was the date and point of rejection is also mentioned, right? And if this particular issue has been solved or not, and if you can see the stage of alert is active, that means still this issue has not been solved, and these tea bags or whatever the health supplement, they are stuck at these particular places. Here it is Bangalore. So don't you see that every information is quite transparent, correct? It is safely written on this particular website that why we did not allow this particular items entering India. And this is a very important thing to spread awareness as to why a particular food item was not allowed into India with particular reasons, so that it will be serving as an awareness not only to the public of India, not only the people of India, but also to the various food exporters and also the food safety authorities all across the world, so that we can have a transparent portal. It is very easy. You just type in the name of food import rejection alert on Google and we will find this website, right? So this is a very simplified way of tagging the various security risks or food safety risks on a particular unified portal like this. So apart, from this, we have this particular question for you. Please do let me know what is the answer in the comments below. In the month of August, India's trade deficit has widened. We'll be seeing exactly some reasons as to why. If you see here, if you look at this particular graph, this is our imports graph or imports graph. This is our export. As always, as you can see, from 2021 April to 24 August, we every year almost have seen, every year we have seen that imports have been higher than exports. So naturally, whenever we have higher imports over exports, we have something which we know as a trade deficit. Why deficit? Because imports is the section of money that we pay to the foreigners, right? Or people who are abroad, who are buying, for example, cars, gems, diamonds, gold from, right? Exports are something that Indians are earning money, right? So whenever, say, expenditure becomes more than earning, that is something which we are having some deficits. So this is the deficit that India is having, and as we can see here, right, in recent times, the deficit has only been widening. As of August, it is at around minus 29.7, billion of dollars, right? As we can see here, billions of dollars. And what are the main reasons? Firstly, we can see here that the trade deficit as of August is at around 10-month high of $29.7 billion. You don't have to remember this, just focus on the major trends that I'm talking about. Petroleum export has declined, due to which also the gap has narrowed, right? And petroleum export, let me tell you, on an average constitutes around 17% of the entire export volume, correct? Jewelry exports, they have also dropped significantly. And let me tell you, jewelry export is one of the major export domains of the country, correct? There, India earns a lot of foreign exchange from jewelry exports itself. Core export health, right? The core, part of export that is composed of non-petroleum and non-gem sections, right? Such as electronic items and so on. They have actually been rising over a period of time. The growing sectors are engineering goods, electronic goods, pharmaceuticals, and textile. These are the core, say export sectors, and their health is kind of improving over a period of time, right? High import items, correct, which have included in India, and this is also very, very important for all of us to understand, because this will be telling you why exactly the trade deficit is widening over a period of time. That is a 10-month high. First reason, and maybe one of the only reason, is actually gold, right? The price of gold has been increasing over a period of time, and also imports of gold not only in India but rest of the world, they have been increasing over a period of time. This has also been covered in the previous recitals video of economy also, where I have discussed why recently the gold imports all across the world are rising. Mainly, if I can summarize it, because the world is very going through a very turbulent stage, right? Turbulent stage, why? Because there are various crises that are taking place all across the world, be the Russia-Ukraine crisis, Israel-Hamas issue, or say the various other issues all across the world, political instabilities, right? So these are the various things which are making the economic condition of the world very precarious, very uncertain and risky. This is why gold has always been that asset which has been viewed as a safe asset, so that people are increasingly investing in gold, and import doubled in gold, right? So that is why a deficit also increased. Coal is seeing around an 8% increase. Electronic items also have seen increase. Non-ferrous metals have seen an increase. Petroleum import has declined, right? Imports of petroleum contracted by 1/3, right? And this has been influenced by lower oil prices, right? Which was also the major concern of various OPEC countries, right? And also we have understood that this is also impacted the petroleum exports too. If we are importing less, generally the petroleum that we import, that only we try to export. So if we import less, the export will also be less, as we have seen here, right? It has been declining, correct? So these are the various data through which we can now understand why the trade deficit has been increasing. Now here, some of the reasons that we have just discussed, let me summarize. Firstly, high gold, right, import, right, plus higher price of gold too. Next, we also have seen that petroleum imports have gone down, due to which we have also less petroleum exports, and hence we could not earn that foreign exchange from the export side. Next, we also have various, say, pending issues with many countries. For example, say China and Southeast Asian nations, with whom we have a majority of the trade deficits, right? So it is actually the country specific deficits that we have, right? Such as China, such as ASEAN nations, right? Which we are not yet able to reduce. So there are these issues with these particular countries. Next, we also have China, which is slowing down, right? We have witnessed China slow down due to variety of reasons, due to which demand for Indian items from China, they have also been going down. And also, as you can see right now, China is also trying to sort out the issues with India, as we have also seen in the case of LAC disengagement as of now, right? Because China is slowing down, it also needs India as of now, correct? So this is also one of the reasons there. And also the broader global supply chain disruptions due to various global conflicts. This is also one of the main reasons here. Now, what are the measures that India has to take? The very first measure that India has to take, right, is to become self-reliant. Right? Self-reliant. And this is also something that we have to understand is in the context of Atmanirbhar Bharat, that we have to, kind of reduce our dependence on various imports, such as solar wafers, right? Oil, seeds, or say edible oil, right? So these are the major things which we have to cut down, and various among other things also. Next, we also have to understand the various, say, importance of various free trade agreements, and also the various, say, multilateral agreements that we have to sign with various other nations to optimize our trade volume, correct? We also have to understand the various importance of how we can try to attract better amount of foreign investments, or FDI. So if we can attract better amount of FDI and also use various policies such as PLI, Make in India, and also various other incentives to promote ease of doing business in the country, definitely we will be having higher amount of exports, and these exports can be qualitatively better than the general things that we on a day-to-day usually export, such as finished gold items, jewelry, and so on. We can transition from those items to electronic items, to semiconductors, which can prominently present ourselves or catapult ourselves to a better place in the global value chains. So these are the various things that India needs to be doing. And as of September 2024, as we can see, the overall exports, while it has been kind of stagnant at this particular level, but imports have come down, due to which deficits as of now, as of September, right, 2024, that has also come down as of now, correct? So these are all the things that you need to know for this particular, say, measures here. And here, when we talk about this topic, let us also solve a question about what can be the impact of India's trade deficit on its economy. So let me see how well this concept you can master to solve this particular MCQ, and let me know the answer in the comments below. In the next article, we will be looking into a recent report that is by the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister, right? The report is from September 2024. It's talking about the relative economic performance of Indian states. A very important report, right? Very important for your mains, for your essays, and also for your prelims examination. And the authors are Sanjeev Sanyal and Akanksha Arora. You can quote them in your answers also to get those extra marks. So here we'll be only looking at the important data here. So firstly, when we talk about the top 5 states in terms of share in India's GDP in 1960 to 61, right? So we have the top 5 states back then, right? Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Bihar. And also when it comes to per capita income, correct? This is Delhi, Maharashtra, West Bengal, Punjab, Gujarat, correct? Now when we talk about, say, over a period of time, what happened? What happened over a period of time? Particularly if you look at the particular states of Bihar and UP, right? Their share is coming down as a percentage of India's GDP, correct? Both UP and both Bihar side, their particular share is coming down. When we look at states of Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu and West Bengal in India's GDP, we see that Maharashtra's share has been kind of, say, for example, if it has started 1960 at this level, it is kind of at the same level or a little higher, right? But when we look at the sad case of West Bengal, it started at around, say, 10% of our Indian GDP. Correct? It is right now at around 5.6%, almost half its contribution to GDP. Correct? If we also look at, say, the case of, say, Tamil Nadu, it has slightly improved over a period of time, right? So this is actually one of the major, states that we have talked about here. And here we'll be looking at the, broader kind of states. As you can see here, this is the state share of national GDP. Correct? These are all the states that we have, the most prominent states, right? So if we can look at this overall figure here, this is the share of national GDP, right? We'll be seeing that as of 2023-24 and from the initial year, right? If we can understand the states such as Gujarat, right, then Maharashtra, then also states such as, say, Tamil Nadu. So these are the states which have progressed a lot, starting from around, if we take the case of Gujarat, 5.8% of India's GDP to around 8.1% of India's GDP. Tamil Nadu at around 8.7 to 8.9. If we look at, say, even Andhra Pradesh, it has transitioned from 7.7 to 9.7. Right? You don't have to remember everything here. It is just a comparative basis as to how some states progress forwards and some states lag behind. As you can say, look at the case of Bihar, both individually, Jharkhand and Bihar, and also the case of West Bengal. Right? If we look at this, we have just seen West Bengal came from 10% to 5.6%. Right? Delhi went from 1.4% to 3.6%. Correct? So these are the various implications. Even UP has fallen down to around, say, 8.5% or say 9.5% if we also include Uttarakhand and Uttar Pradesh, because back in 1960s, Uttarakhand and UP were actually one state. So these are the various observations that you need to know. No, you don't have to remember anything. You have to just take some prominent states and then you can compare with the relevant data. Even if you can look at Karnataka, it went from 5.4 to 8.2. So this was percentage of GDP. Now what about the per capita, say income, relative per capita income? This is also carrying the same weights. As you can see, Karnataka, Gujarat, right? They went from very low figures to, quite high figures as of now. Even Andhra Pradesh, for which the data is available up to, 2000s onwards, it has also increased their level. And also if you look at the states such as West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and so on, they have declined their per capita income over a period of time. So these are all the things that we need to keep as highlights. As conclusion, the conclusion of the report is talking about that the western and the southern regions of India have performed noticeably better than other parts of the countries such as Gujarat and Maharashtra. Correct? And the southern states, they have also significantly outpaced all the other states, especially after economic liberalization, with the 5 states collectively accounting for 30% of India's GDP. Please do remember this figure. Please do remember this figure. These are very, very important for your mains and also for your prelims. In the north, states like, say, Delhi and Haryana, Delhi has one of the highest per capita incomes throughout the entire study history. Correct? And the eastern parts remain a concern. West Bengal experienced a continuous decline. This can be a particular prelims information or prelims question, that West Bengal has seen a significant decline. Odisha have seen improvement from a situation where they were lagging behind. Correct? And also overall, maritime states have clearly outperformed, for example, say the coastal states except West Bengal, right? Except West Bengal. So these are the important data that you need to keep in mind. And according to data that we have just studied right now, you please do let me know what is the answer in the comments below here. Recently, the government of India has inaugurated 12 industrial smart cities, and this is coming at an estimated investment of 28,000 crores around, right? And here we'll be looking into the major areas, and also the mapping aspect is very important here, correct? So around 4 industrial smart cities are already ready for allotment and 4 are under construction. And here, when we look at here, this is actually a part of the major industrial development corridor. As we can see here, these are the parts of the corridor here, and along this the cities are actually been located, correct? So 5 projects are in the region of Amritsar Kolkata industrial corridor, which is this section of the corridor. 5 cities will be there, 5 projects will be there. 2 projects will be from Delhi to Mumbai corridor, correct? And also we have 1 project each in the Vizag Chennai corridor, Hyderabad Bangalore corridor, Hyderabad Nagpur, and Chennai Bangalore industrial corridor. So this is actually to have better amount of industrial development plus urbanization centric kind of a development in this particular manner, correct? So this is actually a very, very important initiative that the government is taking to boost India's infrastructure and take India's cities to the next level, right? And also these particular cities will be having very interesting concepts such as walk to office, for example, walk to office, which means that the offices and their residences will be very in close proximity so that they can just walk and go. There will be also plug and play models of various urban areas and urban cities, urban spaces where the offices and the various industrial parks, they can have a plug and play model, right? Also there will be various other features, for example, say the integration of the entire project with PM Gati Shakti, right? So these are all the things, right, that this particular portal or this particular investment opportunity is seeing into. So please do let me know what you think the answer to this MCQ is. Recently, the government of India has inaugurated 7 important schemes to boost the farmers' income. And the first that we'll be starting with is actually something which we know as Digital Agriculture Mission, or having an Agri Stack. Agri Stack is very easy to understand, right? For example, a farmer, right, can have their own farmer ID, right, according to their own biometrics from, say, Aadhaar and so on. Right, the farmer will be having a land, right? So that land can also have a land ID itself. Also, apart from this, we also can get various other data based on the soil, based on the crops that the particular soil can support or the farmers have historically grown, right? We also have various amounts of other technologies, for example, drones, artificial intelligence, IoTs, and various other things that can be integrated into one particular system. Apart from this, we also have the various amount of crop surveys, right, and crop registries, which will be also serving as a data set for the entire agricultural sector. So in all essence, we have weather data, land records, crop survey, commodity prices, soil data, irrigation data, all at one place that we know as the Agri Stack. So Agri Stack is the conception of this Digital Agriculture Mission. It is synonymous, right? The main Digital Agriculture Mission is to promote the use of Agri Stack, that is having the repository of all of the data, and that can be having a very important functions or say various important functions such as agriculture policy making. So we can use these various data to have big data and analytics on the farmland and have proper amount of government of India policies based on the area centric approach. Then we can have farmer advisory services, right? For example, what exactly the crops they can grow, the markets they can access, We also have the marketplace services for agri-finance and various other services. We can use the agri-stack, the entire farm data, to create banking services for credit and also giving loans to the farmers, ensuring insurance services also, because insurance services was actually one of the major thing that the insurance companies were not friendly of giving to the various say farmers, due to various say fudging of data and so on. But right now everything will be available digitally. And finally, policy implementation will be also be possible. So these are the various components of the digital agricultural mission, to be starting with one of the very first schemes under this government initiative. The other 6 initiatives that the government of India is aiming for are, firstly, crop science for food and nutritional safety, right? So this is actually a very, very important aspect to promote better amount of R&D, to study better amount of agricultural practices that can lead to higher food safety and security. Then the rest of the money, some of the money will be also be going to strengthening of agri education, management and social services as envisaged under National Education Policy 2020. Then a sustainable livestock health and production involving animal health management and veterinary education, production of dairy will also be taken up. Sustainable development of horticulture will also be focused on. Strengthening of Krishi Vigyan Kendras, such as these institutions, which is a very, very important grassroots, right, level of R&D institution at the rural level, right? Then natural resource management, that is costing at around 1115 crore rupees, will also be inaugurated in this particular overall of Indian agricultural sector. So these are all the important things that we need to know as about this particular thing. And in the comment section, you please let me know what is the answer of this particular MCQ here. Recently, the government of India has enlarged the PM-AASHA scheme, which is the Pradhan Mantri Annadata Aay Sanrakshan Abhiyan. Now, this scheme has been continued up to 2025-26 with a budget of 35,000 crore, where price support scheme and price stabilization fund has been integrated, and government has renewed and enhanced the existing government guarantee to 45,000 crore for procurement of pulses, oil seeds and copra at MSP for the farmer. So MSP for these 3 crops have been kind of having this origin from the PM-AASHA. So the PM-AASHA scope has been increased to include, say, the price support scheme, the price stabilization fund, price deficiency payment scheme and the market intervention scheme as displayed here. This is from the recitals itself. So let us individually see. The PSS is implemented by the Agriculture Ministry. It is operationalized only when the prices of farm produce fall below the minimum support price. The price is given to farmers for their income security. PSF, Price Stabilization Fund, is under the Food and Consumer Affairs Ministry. It is used for procuring commodities at market prices and releasing to the consumers when the prices are volatile due to maybe some extreme weather events. So maybe the vegetables are perishable and so on, they are being spoiled. Then the PDPS ensures remunerative prices to the producer of oil seeds whose MSPs are notified by the government. So it provides the direct difference of payments between the MSP and the market price of the oil seeds, right, at the various mandis or APMCs, and this is through a very transparent auction process. Finally, the MIS is implemented for the procurement of agriculture and horticultural commodities, which are perishable in nature. So there are various differences. You have to keep this in mind. MIS for agriculture and horticultural commodities which are perishable in nature, right? So according to this, please do let me know what is the answer of this particular question in the comments below. Finally, we have come to the last article here. The Ministry of Commerce approved the sustainability in spice sector through progressive innovation and collaborative interventions for the export development, which is a spice scheme. Now, this scheme is trying to boost the Indian spice industry, and the Spice Board have just inaugurated the scheme to supercharge spices and the productivity of the spices all across the world. This is trying to empower the farmers with advanced techniques to improve the quality of the seeds of the spices post-harvest, to promote value-added products, and also to promote entrepreneurship through spice incubation centers. And also this will be, having say a proper amount of implementation via the 15 commission cycle, which a total approved outlay of around 422 crores. And there are various other components such as promoting spices in various local areas under one district, one product, promotion of spices recognized under GI tags. So every kind of spice programs will be coming under this SpiceIt initiative, SpiceIt scheme, and this will be serving as the most important function, or say most important initiative of the Spice Board of India, that is also known as SBI, right? So this Spice Board of India is under the Ministry of Commerce. It is a statutory body established in 1987 under the Spice Board Act of 1986, right? It is headquartered at Kochi at Kerala, and it is serving as a major, say, initiative to promote spice production all across the country, right? So here the exporters of spices will be given a valid registration certificate that they can use to have a proper facilitation of exports. And also various scheme activities here. The various scheme activities will be geotagged with the proper references of geological locations all across the country to promote better amount of identification, and also to help the farmer groups and the various other organizations working in the spice sector. So this was all for the month of September for the topics of recitals. I hope you learnt a lot. I hope you also made notes out of the same. Do not forget to revise them on a regular basis. So keeping this in mind, all the best and best of luck till we meet again the next month. So all the best, and thank you for your patience.